Hello and welcome back to another episode of Predator Hunting Radio. This is episode number 2, and in this episode, we are going to be going over some of the gear that I'm using right now. We're going to also get into, I'm going to call it my State of the Union, which is where I'm at this year as far as goals go with my predator hunting and some of the things that I'm getting into and trying to get started. And then also in the very end, we're going to talk about something free that I'm going to be giving away at the very end to help you out on something that you're going to probably be buying soon. So we'll get to that later. So Predator Hunting Radio episode 2 coming at you. All right, well, so in this episode, some of the things we're going to be talking about is gear. So I've been doing this probably a little over 2 years, and like I said in the first episode, I'm nowhere near a professional. I'm just a guy that's out here learning and sharing my journey as I go through this and I set goals for myself and actually learn things and learn how to do this. So pretty cool stuff. Definitely cool because when I first started, one of the things that I first started with was a digital night vision scope. It was from ATN, and that scope was awesome. I had it, I sighted it in really quick. I learned about the batteries. It didn't have an onboard battery in it, so that was kind of a little bit of a pain, but as I've gone through my couple years, I've learned a lot about batteries and I actually have battery options that I could share with you now, which is really cool. But so the first scope, it was the X-Sight 2 HD. That was the one I had. I had a 5x20, which was a 5 power base magnification. And the first time I sighted it in, I shot a pig with it. It was a pig that basically I've sat in a tree stand that I hunted all year, that I was hunt for deer. I sat in the tree stand. There was a lot of hogs, and I just sat there all the way through dark, and basically I just happened to turn the light on. He was underneath. I shot, dropped him, and that was the first kill I had with it. I can't remember. I think I was shooting a 6.5 Grendel, which is something I shoot a lot. I love the 6.5 Grendel. Actually, with the rounds that I'm shooting right now, the 6.5 Grendel is it's just a hair underneath a 243, but with a little bit bigger projectile. So that's cool. But so I started out with that scope, and after having that scope for a few months, SHOT Show came around, and SHOT Show usually is in like the first couple months of the year. And all of a sudden I started seeing these ads, and they were about to drop a new scope. It was the X-Sight 4K. That thing, like the X-Sight, the regular one was just like it was like a box, kind of like a boxy one. It was kind of like, it wasn't like a traditional scope. There was a mosquito on me. By the way, mosquitoes are starting to get bad. It is the beginning of April right now, so. But the new scopes that come out, so the old ones were kind of boxy. They didn't look like a traditional scope. Well, the new ones that were coming out, the ATN X-Sight 4K was actually in a scope type housing. Now, it was obviously a lot bigger than a regular scope, but you could connect it with 30 millimeter rings if they were separated. If you wanted to use a one piece, you had to get them real wide. But that's what came out. And it had an internal battery, which was huge because now you didn't have to find a battery, and the battery lasted like 20 hours, which was amazing. Like, I would use that thing when I got it. It was so awesome. The picture was light years ahead of the picture of the older one. And the battery life, was crazy. I mean, 20 hours. Like, I would take that thing out 3 different nights, anywhere from 4 to 6 hours, and still have plenty of battery left. Plenty. So I wouldn't charge it for like 2 or 3, probably on my 4th hunt, I would charge it. So that was really cool. The light on it was okay. I mean, at 100, it was okay. You could probably see 200 if you aimed it properly, but having the experience that I have with these scopes, I see people all the time that come on the Facebook groups. I mean, there's tons of Facebook groups out there. And by the way, I shared a group last week on the podcast on episode 1. It was our group, and I didn't say Facebook group. And actually, if you're looking for that group, It's called Night Vision Hunting Obsession. It's on Facebook, just for your information. And generally, everything that I talk about in this podcast is going to be somewhere in the description below. I do this podcast on YouTube, and it's basically starts in YouTube, but it is syndicated through other podcasts. So just for your information. So I got the new one, and man, the new one just had such a great picture. I upgraded the light on it. I could see, like, with the light that I got a Predator Tactics Coyote Reaper XXL, the IR version of that light, and I could see 600 yards. I could see trees in the total darkness, and I turned my light on. I could see trees through that scope. It was a 5 power as well. I could see trees 800 yards. I could see a tree line, no problem. You could probably see eyes. I mean, I know for a fact that I've seen eyes over 500 yards, but you couldn't ID it. But I mean, still, you could still probably ID around 200 or 300, 300 easy. And the thing about it is that with these digital scopes, with the ATN, the daytime scope, they're both daytime scopes, but I'm saying with the ATN, the new 4K, in straight sunshine, I actually had that thing and I zoomed it all the way up and it barely even pixelates. And if you know anything about digital zooms, like an optical zoom, if you're ever buying a camera, you always want optical over digital because the digital starts to pixelate. Well, the 4K has such good technology in it that it didn't pixelate as much in the daytime. Like, you could crank it all the way up to 20 power digital zoom, and it was really amazing. Like, it was not bad at all. Like, it was awesome. And I use that scope during the daytime to kill deer with, as well as nighttime. And then at nighttime, with the upgraded light, and that scope needed a lot of light because of the actual sensor in it and how the resolution of the little image inside of it. So the more light you had, the better. So with the upgraded light that I had, you could actually see really, really good. And you could actually zoom and see really, really good too. But one problem that I had was I would zoom and then I would forget to zoom back out. And then I would think I was closer than I really was. And then I would take shots and miss them. So a little quick tip there. But after that, I hunted for that for a while. And in the beginning of last year, I actually was doing the deer hunting, which is, like I said, it's around this time. I haven't got permits yet, but they are coming soon. And hopefully, I know I won't do as good as I did last year, because last year, me and a couple of guys, which was basically led by my efforts, we killed 30 deer in 3 months just around this area on the actual watermelons or beans or peas or whatever. So, and I basically had just the night vision scopes. But towards the end of that, I got my first thermal monocular. It was a 160 resolution core, basically the lowest core you can get. And that thing was amazing because now we're going from night vision to thermal, and thermal picks up heat. So the problem that I was having, and that still is a problem that we should consider there, is that, you know, with the night vision, it does have a little red glow that comes with the IR light. So with digital night vision, you're going to need a lot more light. And that light, if you shined it, 300 yards in a direction, well, I would leave it on sometimes and go look for something that I actually harvested. And I could see that glow. If you looked right into it, I mean, it was super bright. So people say, oh, you can't see it. Well, you can't see it sideways, but if you're looking directly into the bulb, yeah, you can see it. So I just want to say that, going from that to thermal allows you to completely black out. There's nothing that they can see. And that was a kind of a huge upgrade. So I got a monocular, and the monocular was great because it was a 1 power, so you could see really, really close. And the scope that I was using was a 5 power. Although, multiple times with that 5 power, I had to actually, if something got within 40 yards, I would have a hard time finding it because it was so close and it was usually on the move and it was just hard to find. So I learned to back out on my base magnification. That's me. I'm in Florida. You may hunt, huge fields and you need a bigger magnification. But for me, I had multiple instances where animals were just way too close and I couldn't pick them up in the scope. They were just too close and it would just freak me out. So I backed off of my base mag. But having the monocular was really cool because right before dark, even just right over here, I was deer hunting with my little boy. He was 4 then. And I had that monocular the first time I used it. And basically I seen a deer coming through the woods before I could actually even see it. And by the time it got out, I was already ready. And as soon as I could, I dropped it, boom, just quick like that. So the Monocular was good for that. And it was also good for tracking or finding animals after you shot, and sometimes they run off and you can't find them. And it was good for like locating them in the complete darkness. So some of the gear though, right now I'm still using, I have 300 blackout as far as my, I have a short barreled 300 blackout pistol that I use. I also, and I haven't really used that one in a while because of ammo issues. Right now we are in the beginning of, or April of 2021. And as you know, the ammo just went way down really fast and it's hard to find ammo. Fortunately for me, I have like probably 5 rounds of 300 blackout left, although there are more starting to come out. But fortunately for me, before all that happened, I was buying like 50 round boxes of 6.5 Grendel, and I still have over 120 rounds of that. So that's got me good. I shoot another short barreled pistol with my 6.5 Grendel suppressed. So I'm shooting suppressed. Big deal. If you don't have a suppressor yet and you can get one in your state, it's a really easy thing to do. If you just go and fill out the Form 1, there's plenty of pages online that'll teach you how to do it. You pay the $200 tax stamp and then boom, you get it. So I have one suppressor now. I have another suppressor on the way. I also have an SBR stamp coming so I can change out my stock on my pistol and put a regular one on there so I can shoot short. Because doing the kind of hunting that we do, having the lightest gun possible is the most efficient and the most beneficial here. And what I mean by that is that, some people, they shoot, like I started out with a 20-inch Grendel, 6.5 Grendel on an AR frame with that scope. I mean, it felt like 40 pounds. And that was a huge deal. But I talked about this the other day. We use the tripods. The tripod definitely helps you with the weight. It helps you with, if you're videoing, helps you to not, bounce around so much. And also it just helps you make tighter shots. But in the process of that, I figured that I wanted to start building lighter rifles, shorter rifles, and I'm not saying that I could hit 600 yards with my short barreled stuff, with my pistols, but at the same time, I'm not going to shoot 600 yards at night. That's just too far, So for what I do, shooting within 300 yards at nighttime, if you can see it in the scope or whatever, I mean, that's not a bad thing, especially with the Grendel. That Grendel is screaming. I mean, those bullets out of a regular, the numbers on the actual box say they're right at 3,000 feet per second. That's just under a 243. That's really fast. It's pretty flat shooting, and it's got enough knockdown power that I don't really worry about it. So that's kind of what I'm shooting. I also have a 5.56 and a 16-inch AR as well. I use that sometimes. Right now it's kind of like a backup gun, but if I'm going out, I'm generally taking that Grendel because I got more bullets for that, and it's just, it's a really good shooting gun, and I have a lot of success with it. So I'm using a tripod. I'm using the AR style rifles. I live in Florida. We can do that. I shoot 5-round magazines because Florida law says that you're not supposed to have more than that, at least to my knowledge. Also, you'll see me, I am on the golf cart. I use this golf cart. It is absolutely a game changer. You can go drive around all you want, but we park this golf cart on the edge of the road or on the edge of a field, and then unload it and drive out. And 9 times out of 10, we're driving up on stuff. They don't even know we're there. It is so quiet. It's electric. It's 48 volt. And it is just absolutely amazing what I can sneak up on. Also, I carry a headlamp. I do have a Monocular as well. I dropped it, so I'm waiting to send it back to get it fixed because it's got something loose in there. But I would recommend having a Monocular because right now on my Grendel, I'm shooting a Pulsar XQ50 thermal rifle scope, and that thing is amazing. It's about, I think, and they're just coming out with a Thermion 2 here shortly, so I don't know what the price range is going to be, but that one right there is going to be right in the $3,800 range. I was able to upgrade from the night vision to that, and I'm telling you, that's day and night. The only issue that I have sometimes is that, with the nighttime scope, with the night vision scope, you can actually ID things sometimes a little bit better than you can with the thermal scope. But when I say that, what I'm talking about is when you're hunting around a lot of houses and stuff, there are dogs that get mixed in sometimes, and you just want to be careful on that because you don't want to shoot somebody's dog. That's a big deal. And night vision will allow you to differentiate between that versus sometimes, you know, let's just say a blue heeler, you know, sometimes looks like a coyote. I mean, they look the same in the heat source. So that's a little bit weird sometimes, and you know, but other than that, if I'm unsure, I won't take the shot. I don't want to be in that situation. But so I'm using the Thermacell, the XQ50. That thing is amazing. It has an 1,800 yard detection range, and I can absolutely attest to that because 2 weeks ago, I was looking through that scope, and from one spot, and there was a car driving down the road, and it was way across this huge field, and I actually Google mapped it, and it was 1,850 something yards. So I absolutely, it'll pick up the heat. It's crazy, but it's cool because you're completely blacked out, and to me, that's a good thing. So as far as other gear goes, headlamp just in case I need something. You know, I always got my phone because I'm taking pictures and doing little videos and stuff, which is really cool. I'm trying to think what else. You know, I live in Florida, so another big gear thing, and you can definitely check the link in the description below, but if you don't know about, you know, Florida, mosquitoes are starting to come out. Sometimes I'll run a Thermacell on my cart, and with this cart, the way it is, the Thermacell will kind of hover inside here, and it'll stay in here, so it'll keep them out. But also when you go off the cart, you know, they're going to bite. So I have this jacket. It's a light jacket, but it's basically the, what's it called? It's a Gamehide Elimitick jacket. It has something inside the fibers, and mosquitoes will not bite it. I've tried a bunch of things. I don't like to spray myself down with bug spray unless I absolutely have to, because it makes you stink even worse. But I use that Elimitick jacket, and it's light, and it definitely will save you from getting bit by mosquitoes. I hate mosquitoes. So, but the Thermacell works great too. So other than that, that's pretty much it as far as the gear goes. We're using the tripod, we're using the AR style rifles, we're using the Monocular. There's a new line of monoculars out called the Taipans. We got one of those in our little network here that we're going to be doing some videos on in the future. And versus right now, my monocular is an AGM ASP Micro 384. It's a 1 power. The newer ones are 1.5 power and up. The 1 power, like I said, I like it because, you know, things can't get close to you without you seeing them. Like it's easy just to, you know, do a quick zoom, and if they're there, you got them. So, and then I'll jump in on the gun and try to get if I need to. But so we're using that, the golf cart, just to update, or I'm sorry, just to review. As far as the rest of what I wanted to talk about, as far as the State of the Union. So last Thursday night, I went out. We've been baiting hogs up in a couple spots. I killed a hog a couple weeks ago, big hog. And but we've been baiting them up, trying to get more to come out so we can do more of that. And but I went out a couple weeks ago, and it was a full moon on last Thursday night, and we did a lot of riding around. We only heard a couple of coyotes in groups, but they were so far away, and being on a Thursday night, you know, we have to cap it off at like 1 o'clock so that I can go to work the next day, and we never saw any coyotes or anything. So that pretty much shut that down. But as far as you know, I'm trying to go out 2 nights a week, sometimes 3, just really depends. I'm going out tonight after this video, after some hogs, and may do some calling. I may come back here and do some calling because I know there's some stuff around. But right now behind me, you know, that's oats, and the oats are really high, and it would be hard to see them unless I stood up on the top of this thing and put the call out there and tried to just get them to come across the field. So I don't know, and that might be something that I do. It just depends on the moon and all that. But that's where I'm at with that. So the free thing that I wanted to talk about. So with all the stuff that I've had as far as experience goes with the scopes and all that, and you know, whether you're new or whether you've been in this for a while, I created this free PDF. And basically what it is 7 things to consider when buying your next night vision scope. Now, I know there's daytime stuff, but I'm basically talking about nighttime right now. I do more nighttime because I work during the day. But 7 things to consider when buying your next night scope. It's a free PDF download. And I'm telling you right now, if you get this thing and read it, you're going to save time, money, and aggravation when it comes to buying your next scope. When it talks about batteries, it talks about base magnification, it talks about night vision versus thermal. I mean, it just basically breaks down everything you need to know when you're going to buy your next scope. So in order to get that, there's going to be a link down below, but all you have to do is go to yournextnightscope.com, type it in your browser, yournextnightscope.com, hit enter. It's going to take you to a page. Just type in your email address and boom, it's going to send you the free PDF. I promise you it'll be worth your while. That's pretty much all I got for this episode. I thank you for watching. If you like what I'm doing so far, please subscribe to the just subscribe, whether it's the podcast or on YouTube or wherever this is at, because I'm trying to push it out as far and wide as I can. Remember, if there's anything I talked about that you want to know, links, look in the description below. And then also, if you could drop a thumbs up if you like the episode, do that. And if you have any questions, you want to talk about anything and maybe in a future episode, or you have a question about something I said earlier in this episode, just drop a comment below. Or if you just want to even just drop a comment and say hello, that's cool too, just so I know you're there. I appreciate any interaction, and I appreciate you watching this, and I will see you on the next episode.